He is Nick Swisher here in the flesh. Good to see you, man.
What an entrance. Thank you, my man. I appreciate it.
It is my pleasure to do that. It is my pleasure to do that. How is life for you? You're a dad twice over
man,
now.
I'm telling you, it's like
you left the baseball career in the rearview mirror. How is it right now?
It's amazing. You know what? It's funny because you do something for so long in your life.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you don't do that anymore.
Yes.
And it almost kind of you wonder yourself, like, I wonder who I am now.
Yeah.
You know, like, does that define who I am? And luckily for me, that I got a lot of other things in life that I enjoy. I feel like I've got the greatest family on the planet, the hottest wife. I mean, like, best kids in the world. So it's like, why wouldn't I want to be at home with them?
Right.
I feel like I've been fortunate enough to maybe have a little bit of a personality that people enjoy listening to. So I've been able to do the Fox stuff. The NBC Spartan thing, the Ultimate Team Challenge, that came up, and I could not have been more honored to be there, just to be as hyper and as loud as I wanted to be. So for me, man, I could not be more blessed at where I'm sitting right now.
When did you realize, though, that it was time to maybe turn the page? Was there a moment, an at-bat, a game,
Yeah, I feel like
something?
right after I had my double knee surgeries at the end of 14, it just quickly went downhill from there, man. Like, I didn't have that same whip, man. I couldn't pop the hips like I used to.
With the Indians?
Yeah, just in general, man. And it sucked because I had just signed that awesome contract, thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, I get paid this much to play this game that I love?
Right.
And then the injuries started taking effect. And we had one great year in 13 there. And then 14 was kind of a struggle year. And then after that, man, it's just I just didn't have it left. And I tried to make a comeback with the Yankees, and Brian Cashman gave me a shot back down there in AAA. And I think after the birth of our second daughter, Sailor, just being at home, I said to Joe one night, I said, yeah, I can't go back. Like, this is where I want to be. And I've always kind of thought I wasn't one of those guys that would just be like hanging on to a career, you know, like when it was time to cut the cord, it was time to cut the cord. And immediately after that, I was so fortunate enough to get some amazing jobs and some amazing opportunities.
Nick Swisher here in the Rich Eisen Show studio. Who's the best player you played with? Yeah, I know. You played with a ton of them.
Yeah, I feel like just right off the top of my head, just the captain, man, Derek Jeter, just not even necessarily about the numbers, but just the way he carried himself and just the things that I learned from being around him.
Like what? What'd you learn from him?
I just feel like, you know, the game now is with fantasy sports and things like that, there's so much emphasis on individual players. I think the one thing that I learned from him the most was, Swish, you show up and you play to win the game each and every day. Like, it didn't matter if you went 0 for 4 or 4 for 4. You played to win the game and help your team win. And it's so crazy that, you know, I know there was a lot of comparisons this year with, you know, Girardi saying Judge was kind of like Jeter, but I feel like when you have one of your superstar guys that literally in every interview he does talks about wanting to win the game, that brings back, in my mind, kind of like that Derek Jeter vibe.
Well, we had Michael Kay on the show last week, and I asked him, who is Aaron Judge? Like, who is this kid?
Right.
How well screwed on his shoulders is his head? Okay,
real good.
That's what he said, and he mentioned Jeter. He goes, you know, I don't want to kind of put it on him, but in terms of the guy who talks about his teammates anytime that he's asked about his own individual achievements, that he comes in and he conducts himself in a certain way, and that he's kind of locked himself away from the rest of the media.
He doesn't want all that attention, man. He wants the team to be the forefront. And to be able to have, I spent 3 months with all those guys in AAA when I was trying to make my comeback.
Is that right? You're
talking about Gary Sanchez, you're talking about Aaron Judge, Ben Gamble over there in Seattle, Chasen Shreve in the bullpen for the Yanks. I was so lucky and fortunate to play with all those guys because at that time, taking 10-hour bus rides at 35 years old was like the worst thing in the world.
You were like Bull Durham.
Yeah.
You were Crash Davis?
Yeah, man. The boys were letting me sit in the front. I had my own like special cooler. Like, it was like the craziest thing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But at that point, man, 10 hours on a bus, man, with my knees the way they were at that time, it was like, it was automatically a day off the next day.
But you could tell at that point in time that Judge had it because...
Well, it's funny, man, because like at this point in time, this man's hitting like, you know, he's hitting, 3, 4, 5 in our lineup. He's hitting like 260, 265. Yeah, he's hitting some moonshots, but like not on a consistent basis the way he is now.
Right.
And the one thing I always noticed was back then he was really, really tall. He was 6'7" in the box.
Yes.
Now he's about 6'4" in the box. So he's a little more squatty. He's more into his legs. And just watching what he's doing right now, man, couldn't be more proud of him.
Nick Swisher here on the Rich Eisen Show. You mentioned Jeter, and then obviously in 2009. So you had a front row seat to see the Jeter-A-Rod bromance bloom.
Oh yeah,
right, Nick?
And that thing bloomed to the fullest.
All the way to the CNBC interview chair.
That was.
What'd you think of that
That was hard to watch. It's like it really was, right? I mean, let's be honest.
It was very difficult.
Oh yeah, and how the interview just walked right into it, thinking that they really were.
Well, I feel like they kind of got.
tight.
I feel like they got set up for that. That
Who got set up for that?
Well, I mean, I think Derek started off. I think he thought it was something different, and then I think it turned into that, which that's bad on both sides. You can't take two guys like that. You know what you're doing.
Well, I don't think they knew what he was doing. I don't think CNBC knew what they were doing.
I feel like the reporter announcer, he started jabbing a little bit.
But in all seriousness, because I know that A-Rod is a colleague of yours now with Fox, and he's doing
a wonderful job.
That
man.
he is. But how much there is there to the Jeter?
I don't know.
thing?
I feel like you run into guys along your career. You're talking about two iconic figures like that. Who knows, man? I mean, I don't know what happened before or anything that. But
Nick,
seems like they weren't.
Here's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to write on a piece of paper here. I'm going to write on a card. Okay, I'll write on this card right here. You may use this at any point during the interview and say that word. Go ahead and say it if that's the word you want to say right
Pass. No one, none of that.
I'll give this card back to you. Get one more pass throughout the rest of this interview. You may use it at any point in time.
Blink twice if there was a there.
Right. Blink twice if this feels awkward.
But I guess in that respect too is that when you're, because unlike any other sport, you are on top of each other. For 162 games and 7-8 months in that regard.
Yeah.
So how much does a quality clubhouse come into play? For real,
I feel
Nick,
like if you know me, you definitely know where I stand. There has in my mind there has a lot to be said for a cohesive unit, like a cohesive locker room, like people that get along. And I can use an example right now.
Please.
You look over at a team like the Detroit Tigers. With the amount of talent that they have at each and every position all across the field, haven't found a way to put it all together yet. With that sort of talent, you feel like you should be winning ball games a lot. And then you might take a team like the New York Yankees, who might not have, with the way these guys are playing right now, it feels like they got superstars at every spot this year. But there has something to be said for like a tight group of guys. I mean, I know the Houston Astros. What about the Milwaukee Brewers right now?
Sure.
When they're hitting that walk-off home runs, how much fun does it look like these teams are having right now?
What's wrong with the Cubs?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like Joe Madden's going to do what he needs to do to make it happen.
You would think so. We're waiting for that to happen.
I know. I'm a huge fan of his. I feel like I'm always going to have his back. I just think he does what's right for the game. And by the way, this is not the Chicago Cubs of 2016. The Chicago Cubs of 2017.
So what's missing?
Each year brings different problems. Well, I mean, obviously looking at the numbers, you could say a couple guys are having some bad years. But remember, they're playing in the NL Central, so there's no real stress right there, in my opinion, for the Chicago Cubs. No stress. Definitely going to get to play in the postseason. And, I believe that if you get hot, whatever team gets hot in the postseason is whatever team's going to win.
Nick Swisher is here on the Rich Eisen Show. We'll talk about Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge when we also come back. There was an incredible first-time moment on the diamond that went down yesterday. I want to hit you on that. And then also there's something that's going on between me and one of the members of the Chris Command Center over an Instagram posting I had. I posted a shot of my bare feet. Okay. He's got a problem with that. He says it's a man code violation, and I figured who better to ask than you. And you can also use the pass one more time.
I'm a house slipper guy.
Okay.
So.
This is good. He's a house slipper guy. Okay, Nick Swisher, when we come back here in 60 seconds on the Rich Eisen Show. Nick Swisher of Fox Sports and also NBC's Ultimate Team Challenge, Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge here in studio. Did you ever have a cycle?
No, sir. No, sir.
What was your biggest walk-off moment? Do you remember? What do you got for me on that front?
I think it might have been, the day after the boss and Bob Shepard had passed away. We were playing the Rays at home in New York, and I hit the game-tying home run in the 8th, and then the game-winning knock in the 9th. It wasn't a walk-off homer, but it was a walk-off single, which I'll take, bro.
Sure, no,
Either
of course.
Way, it was such an emotional day that day. So for me, that's something definitely stands
After
out.
Steinbrenner and Bob Shepard passed away.
Yeah.
I'm a diehard Yankee. Growing up from New York City. I'm born in Brooklyn, raised in Staten Island. And Bob Shepard, who, by the way, also, guys, I don't know if you're aware, he did the PA for the New York Giants for many years as well. Just so,
that iconic voice sounded like God himself.
Now batting What was your number again?
Number 33.
Number 33. Nick Swisher. Number 33.
Yeah, and he always did the number twice. Well, it's funny because even after he had, after he had even stopped, working for the Yankees and the whole nine.
Yeah.
Derek Jeter brought that. So every time he would hit.
Number 2.
Yeah, that would be
he would still use that. I know. And they still use that on the YES Network. Sometimes you can hear Bob Shepard's voice.
I feel like he's so entrenched with just that tradition of New York.
Oh, my gosh. I know.
There's not a lot of voices out there like that.
Well, when we're speaking old gen, there's an old gen stat. We don't do next generation stats here on the Rich Eisen Show. We do old gen stats here. Go for it. Go for it, Mike Gilkey.
Old gen stats.
Nolan Arenado became the 6th player in Major League Baseball history to hit a walk-off home run in a game in which he hit for the cycle. Carlos Gonzalez of the Rockies was the last to do it.
Yeah.
So the Rockies have now had the last 2 such home runs.
Right.
The one before that, Dewey Evans did it for the 84 Red Sox. George Brett did it for the 79 Royals. Cesar Tovar did it for the 1972 Twins. And the first to ever do it was Ken Boyer of the St. Louis Cardinals back in 1961. But Nolan Arenado is the first infielder with a cycle and a walk-off home run since George Brett did it in 1979. Those are your old gen stats from all that stuff.
Old gen stats.
We have no idea. We have no idea what that song is or that music is or anything like that.
It's definitely old gen.
Well, we figured we should say that because your dad, Steve, who played 509 games in Major League.
The building over there. Got my father-in-law, Jay.
So you got a whole Father's Day.
The best Father's Day ever yesterday, man.
So you got your in-law. You got your dad.
I got everybody,
You got your 2
baby.
kids. Look at you, Nick Swisher.
Look at me, bro.
We're all rent payers in your world right now.
I appreciate that.
We are all rent payers in the Nick Swisher world right now.
I am definitely having a blast right now.
The only thing I kind of don't like about you is why'd you go to Ohio State, Nick?
I know.
What
Guys,
the hell
you
is
know
that
what?
all about? What happened?
I bleed scarlet and gray. I feel like my greatest answer for you would be that's the only school that recruited me.
Okay, that's okay.
I'll take that. I was a nobody.
Answer.
I was a late bloomer.
Well,
A late bloomer.
So what would November's be like with Jeter? I mean, because
Yeah,
Jeter,
we always
could have gone to Michigan.
Jeter and I, we always said we were going to go to we were going to start making that Ohio State-Michigan game.
Yeah.
A big game for us. And we started golfing together this we don't have off seasons anymore.
Yes, that's
but
true.
This winter.
Every day's an off season for you now, Nick. Yeah.
So, we started golfing together. So I feel like we might have to start making that happen.
Okay. Just let me know. I'll tag along.
That's what I said. That's what I thought.
Well, if you want, go ahead and tell Nick how I refer to Derek Jeter. Go ahead. Tell him. I don't care. Go ahead.
The most perfect human being ever born.
I feel like you would be saying the correct answer.
I don't know. Again, now removing family members, people that you have come across, Nick Swisher.
Right.
Who is the more perfect human being than Derek Jeter? Let's be honest here. Be honest. You could be deadly honest.
No, I don't need it.
I don't need the pass again.
I don't need it. I feel like
again?
I feel like he's such an ambassador and was so great for the game of baseball and continues to be.
He does.
Because he will be an iconic figure for. I mean, he's almost to the point where he's a living legend almost.
I agree with you. And the Astros destroyed his night within 5 minutes flat.
Tanaka didn't have a good night that night.
No, he did not.
Yeah.
You're going to Poppy night on Friday, right?
I'm going to Big Poppy retirement night on Friday.
Hey, that should be something special.
What's
man.
Poppy like?
Should be pretty great.
What's Poppy
great
like
guy,
from your
man.
perspective?
Just loves life. Just I feel like for him, man, he wasn't scared to say nothing, bro. Like that man could get away with anything you want to get away with in Boston right now. Pretty much you're talking about the Derek Jeter of Boston, right?
Or Derek Jeter's the David Ortiz of New York.
I agreed, but either way, man.
Don't agree to that.
Both
You're
guys,
not allowed to agree to that.
Both guys definitely made their cities home to them.
Sure.
Like deep in there, which is something to be said for
No,
that.
but on all honesty,
One guy ended the curse.
You're hold on a second. Excuse me. You're sitting in the dugout.
Right.
New York Yankees, Red Sox.
Right.
Blood's boiling.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a rivalry, right?
Yeah.
You are winning this game.
You're in
all
it.
right?
Yeah.
And Poppy smokes one halfway to Queens out of the Yankee Stadium.
I've seen that.
And then takes 50 seconds to run around the bases. You're not saying anything in the club in the clubhouse, the dugout?
No.
Come on.
Well, I feel like at that point in time, I feel like that you got to know who David Ortiz to know why David Ortiz plays the way David Ortiz played. Because number one, like no one's going to say nothing to David Ortiz. He can do whatever he wants.
Understood, but you're not in that clubhouse muttering under your breath or anything like that?
No, I don't think so because I don't think the run around the bases would get me. The home run is what would have got me.
You came to the Yankees from obviously Oakland and then the White Sox. So Jeter is already a big figure. Of
course.
Going in there. How do you approach that first meeting and then meeting him, and then also do you ever ask the question about the gift basket thing? Is this real? Is this not? Are you ever comfortable enough to
feel like that was kind of the first day I walked into spring training. I looked up on the wall and I saw Mariano and Pettit and A-Rod and Jeter, and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I really here right now? And I don't even remember much about the gift basket thing. So
okay, all right.
You didn't have to say the word pass. That's what I was passing you that whole time. You weren't even paying attention.
I don't really remember much about it, man. I really don't.
I just don't know if you ever get that comfortable level with, do you ever ask this question or not?
I wish I remembered much, but I don't, man.
Okay, so put up the Instagram photograph for Nick Swisher. Nick, I posted this over the weekend. It was a nice moment on Father's Day where I got to put my bare feet up and take a photograph of a rosé bottle and a glass of rosé.
On a table.
Is that breaking a man code?
People eat
No,
at.
I don't think so.
Thank you, Nick Swisher.
You're right, man. I feel like you got some nice shade on your feet, right?
That's
that helps
true.
a lot. Right? I feel like that helps a lot. If it was the highlight of your picture, I feel like we would have an issue.
Okay.
But it's not. The actual glass of rosé is the highlight of the picture.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
So
these people don't know you like that, man.
So Nick, you're saying if there was a pastiness to it, then you'd have a problem.
So if you brought your ashy, unmanicured toenails to the party there, and it was brighter,
yes,
that would be a problem, I think.
Instead, this is a work of art.
I'm actually thinking to myself, wow, bro, is that your crib?
What's your take on the rosé?
Yeah, go on, man. You got an infinity pool cruising over there?
No, definitely not an infinity pool. What's your take on the rosé? Was the rosé, because that was my concern posting it.
I'm more of a, I guess I'd be more of a vodka guy.
Okay.
But I can appreciate
Nick
that.
can hang.
For sure.
Okay.
No
Nick can hang.
Nick can hang.
I can
What
appreciate
about
that.
the aspect of this, Nick, that people are going to eat off of that table, and his probably not freshly cleaned feet are on it?
No, was that a like a kitchen table?
No, not a kitchen table, but it is an outdoor eating area.
I don't know, man. I feel like
a
a couple of these guys
just
off
wiping
the table. I think you might have been all right.
You've already answered. The verdict is in. You lose, and I win.
Wow,
Nick Swisher.
I feel like we've seen some dirty feet, like Shaq's feet.
Yeah,
that was tough to look at, right?
Tough.
Yeah,
That
now
was a tough
exactly.
watch.
That was hard to look at.
My feet were nicely pedicured, or as a caller into the show said, I should refer to it as foot treatment.
Foot treatment. Got a great foot treatment.
Right? Because you guys in Major League Baseball, you got to get pedicures and manicures. You can't walk around.
It starts from the ground up, guys.
Damn straight you do. So tell me about your experience with Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge,
guys,
brother.
I was so honored and fortunate to be part of this this season 2. Because if you got the opportunity to watch season 1, which I think you should, to get a little bit of background on exactly what Spartan racing is, this year is kind of an evolved version of it. To instead of rolling hills and lots of running, lots of distance between obstacles, this is more of a compact. It's shot in an abandoned factory, so it's got that steel mill kind of vibe to it. That gritty. Still got the Spartan mud. We still got things like the Spartan throw, but it's more of a condensed, ultimate adult playground, just with obstacles that you've never even seen before. So for myself to be on the sideline and literally watch these men and women do these obstacles, I'm thinking to myself, number one, wow, I'm really glad that I met the guy that designed these to actually teach me how to get over these things. Because I'm wondering to myself, how do they even know what to do? Because it's not like these people have seen these obstacles. There are some from last season, but season 2 is so awesome, man. It's shot so well, and the stories are the biggest thing. I mean, everything from war veterans to amputees to people that have lost family members that have bonded over a sport like this. It was an honor for me to highlight their lives.
Well, I'm so glad that you got that gig, what you're doing with Fox Sports, and you and your beautiful wife, Joanna. Good people, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate
good things
that,
happening.
man.
Good people is something I'm always up for. And come back anytime. Now you're
Oh my
certainly
gosh,
here,
man! I'm
Los Angeles
telling you
based.
guys, man, I've had a blast here, man. Thank you guys. It's been so dope, man, being here.
Come back anytime. Seriously, we're
Yes,
here.
sir.
My house is yours.
All right, I
Nick Swisher,
appreciate
Nick
that.
Swisher is here. I don't regret saying that. And you also did not use your last pass, so
Yeah.
you can have that when you come back in. Nick Swisher here on the Rich Eisen Show studio. We'll come back and set up the rest of the week and check on anything else that's gone on in the rest of the sports world over the last half hour.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that, download our app. Please, just if it's a memory thing, just delete other apps. You don't need those apps. This app, the Rich Eisen Show app, you need that.